Russia has escalated its attack on Ukraine. The army is now closing in on the capital, Kiev. And the country's second largest city, Kharkiv, in the east, has come under intense bombardment. Tonight, the ABC's Sean Rubenstein-Dunlop is in the Ukraine-Poland border area, where a growing number of refugees are arriving in search of safety. But first, Isabella Higgins begins our coverage from Lviv.
Ukrainian soldiers are still fighting to defend Kyiv. These troops are keeping Russian forces from entering the capital, for now. In Kyiv's children's hospital, this 13-year-old boy is fighting for his life. He was shot while fleeing with his family.
We will try to do everything to save this child.
Most of the children are now being treated in the hospital's bomb shelter. This is the largest paediatric centre in Ukraine, and it can no longer take care of its cancer patients, so they're being transferred out of the country.
Tom is 6 years old. I'm scared, but I can see another way to escape, so we have to do this.
But time to escape could be running out. These latest satellite pictures show a massive Russian military convoy north of Kiev that stretches for 64 kilometres. Hundreds of tanks, weapons and troops are advancing on the capital. But the defiance is everywhere. In the eastern port city of Berdyansk, Ukrainians confront Russian troops who have captured their town, along with its nuclear power plant. They shout at the Russians to go home. Here in Ukraine, many say this invasion has brought their country together, that they feel a sense of unification that they haven't in years. Many believe that the worst thing their country could do is concede or surrender to Russian aggression. Civilians and children have been killed in Russian rocket attacks on Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. Residential neighbourhoods attacked indiscriminately by missiles and cluster bombs. Ukraine's president called the shelling of Kharkiv a war crime. Moscow launched the attack as Russian and Ukrainian negotiators met for talks in Belarus. There was no breakthrough.
Справедливі переговори можуть бути.
Fair negotiations can take place when one side doesn't hit another one with rocket missiles during the negotiations.
In the Lviv train station, women and children try to escape the violence. Police stop the men from joining them.
It's awful. It's very bad.
All the men here can do is reach out to their children to say goodbye. Isabella Higgins, ABC News, Lviv.
The United Nations says more than 500,000 people have left Ukraine so far, and millions are expected to follow. The ABC's Sean Rubenstein-Dunlop filed this report from the Medica border crossing in Poland.
Desperate for safety, the young and old are braving exhausting journeys to cross the border from Ukraine. These women lugged whatever they could carry, with loved ones in tow. The trip would normally be a 5-hour drive.
How long did it take to get here, and how did you get here?
4 days. 2 days we travel a car, and then we 2 days go to walk to Poland.
And the trek isn't over yet, with kilometres left to find a bus stop on the Polish side of the border. Victoria Vlasova escaped Ukraine with her toddler Daniela, her in-laws, and their 12-year-old pooch Tom.
I left my mother behind at home, and my mother-in-law, my brother, and my sister.
Lena also left behind her son, the father of her grandchild. He was required to stay behind and join the fight against Russian forces as bombings came dangerously close.
Some airstrikes had already started, and there were sirens.
In Poland, people have come from near and far to help the refugees.
When there was war in Georgia, Ukrainians helped us. Now we are helping them in return.
Finally, a bus shows up to take them to shelter with other refugees.
This family's journey is one of 44 million unfolding in and around Ukraine right now. 44 million Ukrainian lives thrown into chaos by the Russian invasion. It's feared millions of people will flee Ukraine. More than 100,000 escaped into Poland yesterday.
Heading into an uncertain future for families and the world alike. Sean Rubenstein Dunlop, ABC News at the Medica border crossing.
Australia will spend $70 million on missiles and ammunition to help Ukraine defend itself against the Russian invasion. Here's political editor Andrew Probyn.
Democracy has new colours. Ukrainian blue and yellow emblazoning some of Australia's most iconic buildings.
Australia stands with Ukraine. We want to say we are with you.
Australia's commitment to the fight against Russian tyranny, not just in spirit.
We're talking missiles, we're talking ammunition.
$70 million in lethal military support to help Ukrainians defend themselves. Unspecified weaponry to be dispensed by NATO allies.
I don't plan to give the Russian government a heads up about what's coming their way, but I can assure them it's coming your way.
Allied firepower in anticipation of an ever more brutal response from Vladimir Putin.
People should brace themselves for what we're going to see out of the Ukraine in the coming days and weeks.
Scores of Australians have registered interest with the Ukrainian embassy in joining an international fighting force. But the firm advice, don't go.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I don't think that going to Ukraine and having 2 days training and being thrown with a machine gun in front of a tank is an effective use of their energy. There's no need to be cannon fodder for the Russians.
With hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians fleeing their homeland or internally displaced, Australia will dispatch immediate humanitarian aid. The bigger challenge will be the mounting refugee crisis. The Prime Minister already emphasising that for many offered refuge in Australia, it will only be temporary. Andrew Probyn, ABC News, Canberra.